Good. Thanks for having me here. As introduced, I'm the CEO of Agilene, so we'll talk a little bit about the company, the software we have developed, but I want to also discuss with you about enterprise software, basically. So this is the topic of this class. So it's going to be an interactive class session, I would say. So I want you to ask questions if you have. I'll ask you some questions, so don't be surprised. So let's start. So where do people work in Canada? So I just want to context a few things. Most of you will probably work in a small and medium company. Why? Because it's 90% of the business in Canada are small and medium. It goes up to 500 employees, which is not that small, but still, most of the time when we hear about enterprise software, we hear about the big ERP systems that are mainly used by these guys. So that's why I want to bring a different angle to this topic with you tonight. Can you name some enterprise software categories? Don't hesitate. We just need one to break the ice. SAP. SAP? Is SAP a category? But SAP is an ERP. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. So you will see in all the systems, the enterprise systems, most of them are they have acronyms. So let's jump into this. So these are all acronyms. I'm just going to go really fast through. So this is Material Requirement Planning. So this is really for managing the inventories you might have in your organization. MES is Manufacturing Execution System. So basically to follow up on what's happening on the shop floor in a manufacturing plant. MRP2 is an evolution from MRP. So we don't see much MRP anymore. These are more MRP2 systems. You have the ERP, which is the Enterprise Resource Planning. So as you can see, most of the ERP include these sub-modules, I would say, or functions. SCM stands for Supply Chain Management. So this is really looking at the whole supply chain from your suppliers up to your clients, if you will. CRM is
Customer Relation Management.
Exactly. So this is more sales-oriented. So this is really to engage with your customer and following up on leads that could eventually become clients. Just to locate our software, that's the footprint we would cover in terms of functionality in that ecosystem of different enterprise systems. So what is an ERP? Basically, an ERP has different module or expertise within it. So you have like finance, CRM. So some ERP has CRM modules into it. Manufacturing, resource planning, the MRP, supply chain, etc. So you see all the acronyms we saw. These could all be part of ERP. There are different types of ERP or different size of ERP. So you name SAP. SAP is a large one. It's car makers run on SAP. So these are really large solutions. It costs in the millions to buy and in the millions to implement and train your people and all that. So it's really for large company, not suitable for small and medium business like you would see. The analogy I will make is that for me an ERP is like Swiss knife. Swiss knife is what? It's a bad plier, it's a bad screwdriver, it's a bad knife, it's a lot of compromise to get a toolbox in your pocket. So if you ever work with ERP, you'll find that most of them are not experts in all these different areas. They are better at some and weaker at others. Has anybody worked with the ERP in enterprise? Which one?
I've worked with SAP Concur, and
Okay.
everything was connected with SAP.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? No? Yes?
Salesforce?
Salesforce. Yeah, Salesforce is a CRM. Yeah. Okay. These are screenshots from SAP. If you work with SAP, maybe it looked like this. It's different. It's Infor. So when looking at these, I feel like going back to Windows 2000. You know, the gray stuff, you saw the pictures. These software, for most of the time, are not really user-friendly. It's not easy to work with them. They can do a lot of things, but you have to know how to do it. So I experienced myself in my previous job. But before starting at Agilene, I was working in a large company that was running on SAP as well. And each time we had a lot of Excel files, a lot of things, parallel system in order to manage and be able to take decision, because trying to do everything in SAP was a nightmare. If we look at some data, you guys might know Mr. Deming. So ERP software. So these are the top 5. So you name SAP. There's Oracle, Workday, Sage, and Infor. Infor is more manufacturing oriented, as Workday would be more. This is what I have in the slide. But most of them has a good field in financial. So most of the ERP system are accounting system that were built with features on it to expand the capability of the accounting system. So the foundation of the ERP system is accounting system. And for people that are doing like efficiency in plants, sometimes the financial aspect is creating bias in the decision we should take. So, but just to let you know that ERP is based on finance, mainly. Workday is more service oriented, as I said, so there's no manufacturing operation, there's no asset management. And FR is more of a manufacturing one. So you see the big portion here in manufacturing, and not that much in human capital management. Other numbers, just so you figure out how big of a business it is. 47 billion ERP software growth. So it's not the total market, it's just the growth expected by 2022. You know why business implement ERP? What would be your guess?
Efficiency.
Efficiency. Okay. Other idea?
Like it enables you to save time and consistency regarding the different informations.
Okay. So it's to group all the information and make it accessible. These are what people have answered when for the reason why they are looking at implementing an ERP system. So improve business performance, so that's pretty much what you said. Reinforce company growth, reduce working capital, so by having the losing less time searching for information, for example, that would be a way to reduce the working capital. Simplify the workload, things like that. So that gives you an idea. As you said, the percentage are high because they were able to choose in different aspects, but that's what's coming out. What about the implementation? Because I buy the system, that's one thing, and then I have to implement it in my business. So I have to make sure it fits with my business, because every business is different. And then the other thing is I have to train my people, make sure it works, right? This is a study that was made by the same group in 2018, so it's not not that far from today. Success rate is 42%. So a lot of these initiatives, projects just fail. And what's surprising me is the people that don't know what happened with their system. In some of the study, we see that some people bought the system but were never able to implement it. So that's really sad. And for some others, they are doing it, but they don't know the outcome yet. So that's part of what happened with the outcome. And some others, it was not clearly defined what were the success, what would be considered as a success in implementing the system. So at the end, it's kind of hard to say, are we good or bad? Hard to tell. But the failure rate is quite high. Just some other information on that. So that's another source. But
if you don't mind, can you tell us why businesses just fail?
Yeah.
These are millions of dollars put in there, and then second question, so you invest $40 million or $30 million. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you're making any money, people say don't know. You think like?
Yeah, but one of the things is here. This is what was budgeted, and in reality, it costs way too more. And what happened? What I see when I meet with potential clients or when we do consulting, one of the things we see is that people were budgeting for the consultant. And when they start with the accounting. So that's the first thing they rip off from their system, and they put the accounting and all the finance modules. And even in that portion, the budget go higher than expected. You know, if it's just go here, we're already over the budget we have foreseen. I see a lot of people that get into an ERP, and at the end, it's just a big accounting system. And sometimes they had an accounting system prior to doing the project. Another thing that fails is that people don't prepare themselves enough before getting into an ERP project. Because when the ERP integrator will come, they will ask questions about, let's say we take one process, the purchasing process. If we are 5 people buying stuff for the company and we all do it slightly different way, what is the best process? So then we can get into discussion up to the point we find the right process, and then they put it in the software. And that we have to do it for all and every one of the process of the whole thing that we saw in the other slide, which is for finance, asset management, employee, all that. So it makes it hard if the company is not prepared, and if your process are very far from the process within the software you have selected, because there's a lot of ERP on the market, and each and every one of them, they have like specialty. So some are better in the food industry, some are better in the oil, and whatever the market, in manufacturing, in service, whatever. So if in your selection process you went too fast, or you took the wrong system for your needs or for your business, it might get hard to implement it and to be able to fit it in the way you work. So these are the 2 main aspects, I would say. So selection of the system, and then when you try to put it in, it doesn't fit. So these are a few data for you. So it makes me think about what's going wrong with that industry. Is there a way to do it different? Is ERP the right and only solution? So that's a big question to be asked. What about best-of-breed solutions? So that's a new concept, I would say, that is emerging a lot recently, and it's emerging more and more in the small and medium business as well. So by best of breed, what we mean is the best available solution for each and every one of the different functions in the business that we have to cover with the systems. So basically what we want to support what we call the customer journey. So the customer in our business, we go from marketing, where we are looking for new customers, and then we can go in trade show, we can do advertising, we can do social media marketing, stuff like that. So this is more like marketing. Then we want to convert them to sales. We want to sell our product, whatever it is. Then we have the operation. So we have to manufacture and deliver. We have to take care of all the finance, because we have regulations we need to comply. And then sometimes we have after-sales support. So depending on the product we produce, then we might have support lines for our product. Sometimes we can convert people to sell, saying, okay, you took the basic version of our software. If you go to the pro version, the problems you face are fixed, or there is a feature for what you're expressing. So that could be a way. Same thing for product. So basically that's what we want to support, is the customer journey. If we go into a best-of-breed solution, so the first thing we can do is regarding all social network, mailing, and if you want to go digital in your marketing campaigns, there are tools like Hootsuite and other tools that are really focused on just this. So these tools have advanced feature, and that's their primary focus. Next to it, you have sales. So this is where the CRM comes into play. But you mentioned Salesforce. Salesforce is a big CRM, I would say. But it's a CRM. It only does that. They are expert in doing CRM, customer relationship management. There are others. You have a HubSpot, maybe you heard of, Pipedrive, and Insightly. These are familiar ones. Zoho CRM is also a good one. Then you can go in the finance aspect of the business. So like QuickBooks, SAP is here, but SAP would be more towards the SAP Business One. So they have kind of a light duty version of SAP that is suited for small and medium business. But yeah, like FreshBook, QuickBook, Xero is used in service, getting more popular here in Canada, so it works as well. After sales, so this is more like help desk ticket system. Just to give you an idea, we use one at our place, and it has AI built into it. So and the phone system is also linked to it. So when people go into call to our company, when they press 1 for sales, they go in the CRM. Then I have the clients. I know if they owe us money, if they have used the support a lot, what type of clients it is. It is a client or it's a prospect. Is it a new client? So it's all linked. And if you press 2, you go in the desk. So for support. So there you have a ticket that opens, and then you can write down on the problem of the client, and there's AI to suggest you with solutions based on previous resolutions, stuff like that. So these are really like specific solutions that focus on doing help desk tasks, related tasks. And in operations, that's what we did, our software. We did a best of breed, so we just concentrate on that block and we don't expand. We will connect with other systems. And in today's world, connecting these solutions all together is quite easy. So they are meant to be connected. So when you create a client in one of these, it can replicate and be in the other system as well. So that way the information is always up to date and it's the same. You have all the address, phone number, stuff like that. It will all be the same throughout the different systems. Have some of you heard about Industry 4.0? Or not yet? Yes? You say yes, so what have you heard about it?
A lot of artificial intelligence.
Okay, AI. What do we need to do AI? Information, data. So AI is to process and learn from data. So we need data set in order to train some algorithm to be able to crunch the data that people wouldn't be able to do. So yeah, that's one thing. So these are the different technologies that are identified as the technology of Industry 4.0. So it's the fourth industrial revolution, they say. So just going quick through it, augmented reality is one that is a little bit far, I would say, from being used at scale. Why? Because the gears are pretty expensive. Bringing information over the environment where the people are working is quite hard at the moment, so it's getting better. But so we see that in pick and place. So in distribution, you can have working in a warehouse. So you will have glasses. It will draw like arrows on the floor, virtual ones in your glasses, and then it will tell you where to go pick your stuff. You can pick the box. It's gonna scan the barcode, put it as the picking list, and then it will say, okay, go put the pallet at the dock number 3. You go there, you drop your pallet, and then you're up for the next order. So these are the kind of use case for augmented reality. Internet of Things, you might have heard about this. So Internet of Things goes into different industry as well.
For the first example, it's just guiding you.
Yeah, but no.
It's guiding you, telling you what to do.
Yeah, it's guiding you for what you have to pick, where it is, so you save time not searching around for the part you're looking for. You also have like validation for quality purpose to make sure that what you put in the box is the right product by scanning the barcodes and stuff like that. So there's quality, there's speed. When you're done with your package, you know where to go put it, because sometimes you have like 20 ducks with vans that are parked there, so which one do I need to send? So it's really to guide. Here is more to guide people and help them out do their job faster, more efficient, and make sure that we error-proof the tasks that people have to do. Internet of Things, we can gather data from machines. So just to give you an idea, we have some boxes that we produce with our software that are like this. So we did these boxes from scratch. So we did all the PCB inside with all the components. This is just a clamp that you would put over a wire. You just close it. you logged into that device like you would do with your Google Assistant or things like that. And then you just linked it with your Wi-Fi. It connects with our software. When you go in the software, you can go and match it with an equipment, and it's gonna follow up on the usage that the people would do of the equipment. So that's one use case we have. We have another box where we can plug a scale. So we have clients that put boxes that want the weight of the box or the pallet. So instead of looking at the measurement and then put it in the software, they will go in the software, they will just pull the information from the scale directly to make sure there's no mistake. So this is more error proofing again, to make sure there's no people switching numbers and creating mistakes in the inventory that wouldn't fit because it's not the right weight that was entered in the system. So this is two boxes that we have. But there's a lot of use case for IoT that can be. It can also be on people. So we have some wearables that can sometimes monitor temperature, breathing, heart rate, stuff like that you might have seen already. You have that sometimes in your smartwatch. So these are kind of things you can have. So sometimes for safety reason, when the temperature gets over a certain temperature, you have to take more breaks and stuff like that. If somebody is working in a closed environment, nobody's working with it. If he ever falls or is on, yeah.
I've seen what manufacturers say, you scan it in your hand.
Yeah.
You don't have to use it, just scan it.
Yeah, I have another one here. I can show you just to show you how small it can be. So this is just a scanner you can put really on your fingers like this. So you can scan, you can work and still have it. So these are all different gadgets that you can have to help you out do your job. System integration, I discussed it. So it's really to make sure that all the system will be integrated together. System to system, machine to system, human like this to system as well. So make sure everything is connected. Simulation, it can go up to the point where you simulate the whole manufacturing plant. So you have what they call digital twin. So your plant is modeled on a computer, and then you can run scenarios into it. So let's say you have quoted 10 jobs. What happens if I get all the 10 jobs at the same time, or 10 projects? Will it break? If so, what will be the weakest link in my operation? Will it be I will be running out of people? Will the capacity of my machine be short? Will I run out of raw materials? Stuff like that. So you can simulate instead of going through the process of taking the jobs and then having to call your client back to say, I'll be late because it's not going well. So it can go up to that point, or you can do simulation on parts as well to see under stress how they will react, will they break, stuff like that. Big data, we see it a lot, where this is, with all these systems, we gather a lot of data. So what do we do with it? How we treat that data and transform it to information so we can take decision, because in the end, that's the goal. So we have to be cautious with big data because it's easy to gather a lot of information and not have the power to analyze it and take decision. And there's a cost to acquire that data, there's a cost to storing it, and there's a cost for the treatment and the analysis of this data. So we have to be cautious to make sure that we don't just get as much as we can and that it's going to be useful. Additive manufacturing, we see that a lot these recent years. So we see it a lot in plastic, but you can also print metals as well. So it's a technology that is evolving fast. Cloud computing, you must be experiencing it with like the Google Drive and stuff like that, kind of cloud computing. Our software is on the cloud as well, so we have cloud servers. Robots, we have robots that you can collaborate and work with the robot, so it's not as dangerous as it was with industrial robot in the past. So you can really interact. So when you get closer to the robot, it slows down, so it cannot injure you. And if you touch it, it's going to stop. So these are kind of technology to make sure we can work with these technology. I talked a lot about technology, and that's what I would say is kind of a shortcomings of Industry 4.0, is we make a good emphasis on technology and not much on people. And most of the reason why these technology fails to be implemented in the business as well is because we don't take into consideration the human aspect. So sometimes we bring technology that will change the work that people have to do. So sometimes, you know, these days, having somebody that is painting parts in a paint booth all day, most of the people today don't want to do that all day long. So we will put a robot, but sometimes we will take that paint because the guy that was doing the painting, he knows how to paint, he knows how to control the quality versus the humidity of the room, temperature and all that. So his role might evolve into controlling the quality, ensuring the robot works well and stuff like that. So if we don't take that into consideration and we just bring the robot and then we're up with a guy that doesn't know what to do anymore because the robot stole his job. It doesn't stole his job. Anyway, it was boring to do that. So it's just evolving in something more interesting. But you need to make sure that you manage these change. That's why we have decided to go with smart industry. So I went to a conference in Toronto last year. There was a guy from Netherlands. So each country, they have their own interpretation or their own system of Industry 4.0. What's nice about smart industry is it focused on some transformation that needs to happen in your business. And in the center, you have the technology that can support this transformation. And within this transformation, there's like smart working, but people are part of the solution. So what's nice, it's for the people, by the people. What I mean is, it's a bottom-up mindset. So people on the shop floor, they have goals to achieve. They have to get better, reduce the lead time or the delivery time, stuff like that. And then they face problem and they go for management to say, we would need a tool, technology, whatever, to help us better do our jobs. So when you bring the technology back to support the people, change management is way easier than if you would have gone the other way around, which is top down. You would push a technology to go spy on the people. That's sometimes what we hear about technology and the Industry 4.0 type of mindset, which is I want to get data, I want to have some insight about what's going on in my operations. So it's a really different approach. So we decided that in our company to embrace the smart industry way of doing, of introducing technology to support people. So technology are really there to support everyday job people. This is one of our clients that was having a whole lot of papers all over the place. And we were able to convert them to paperless. So that's another aspect, is really the digitization here. So going digital, removing paper, being more real time in terms of information. So each time something happens, we know and we can act on it if it goes wrong. This is just to give you an overview of, for me, a company is always evolving or growing like stairs. And each time you face a step, you have to level up in terms of technology, people, whatever. You need to bring some transformation. Just to give you an idea, when you have between 1 and 24 employees, you probably know everybody. You can run your business on top of your head. It's quite easy. Everybody is on the day shift. You know everybody, what they can do, what they cannot do. When you get to 25, 49, sometimes you have like a night shift that happens. Stuff like that, so you're not there at night. When you get to 50 and 99, sometimes you have departments. So like the painting is there, the welding, and then the assembly. So there's more complexity. So you need system to support that. The first type of system people put in place is the accounting, because you have to, as I said, there are legislation, so you need to comply with the accounting rules. Second thing is you have like ERP. So these are the smaller ERP, and then you have the big ones like the SAP and the large enterprise, for the large enterprise. As you see, you have Excel everywhere. So Excel is always what everybody is falling back on when they cannot do something in the system. So they just extract data, and then they do some graphs, and they do some analysis, pivot table, whatever, to try to do it. The problem with that is, I don't know if you guys ever experience loading data into an Excel file up to the point where you try to open it and it says it's corrupted and it doesn't want to open. You lost everything. There's one certainty: if you do that to do analytics and treat a lot of data, it will happen. So instead, you better go with analytics and BI system. So these are systems that can gather data from different from the accounting system, from the production system, CRM, whatever, and then you can cross-reference the data and be able to have some graph that will indicate and gives you some insight about what's happening in your business. So that's really a big, powerful tools. And this is just to locate a little bit our software or the different version of our software that we have. So the first opportunity we foreseen for the business was really to close the gap in between here. So that's kind of the Excel zone where people are patching over their accounting software with Excel files before jumping into the ERP because of the cost involved, implementation and all that, what we saw previously. So our goal was really to provide a solution to extend the capability of the accounting software, managing your operations, your people, your equipment, your inventory and all that. And maybe push a little bit that time where you need the ERP. And as I said in the previous slide, maybe you will never go into this because you'll use best-of-breed solution to cover your different areas and business needs. So this is just to give you an overview of how we support the different. And here, really the goal is to have like a small smart MES. So it's really an interface that will be over an ERP system to make it more user-friendly. Because that's a big force of our system. So this is what it looks like. So just few screenshots. So compared to the one you saw, the gray one, that were Windows 2000-ish, this is what our software looked like. So I'm not here to sell my software, just to show you what it can look like to have something that is more user-friendly. As I said, we have like these boxes that we introduced. So for IoT, RFID, which is radio frequency. So sometimes we have application where barcoding cannot be used. So we would use a RFID scanner and all that. On different platforms, so whether it's the computer, laptop, tablet, so sometimes we can have like a tablet on a forklift, for example, that needs to go around the plant, so they will be connected with Wi-Fi. And we might have like more stationary computer within the workstation of the people. With all the information we gather, we can do graphs like that. So really there, the limit is almost our imagination on creating the right graph depending on the information we need, what we want to understand, what's going well and wrong maybe in our operations. Operation as a whole, so finance, sales, marketing, campaigns, we can really bring data from all the different systems and bring them in the same dashboarding and analytics system. Just to give you an idea, it's as easy as I want my revenue. It gives you the revenue by country. You have a map with your different revenue per country. If you want yearly, you have pie chart on the map. Don't like that, you want a bar graph. There you have it. And it's voice activated, so you can say the phrase that you just saw and it's gonna plot the graph for you to get the information shaped the way you need. So these are the kind of tools we have embedded in our software that are available, just so you know. So these are really cool stuff, and there's AI into this as well. We're getting to the architecture. I don't know if you are interested into this, but so it's a really web-based system. So we use like HTML and all that. We store files on Amazon Web Services. And then we have like servers. Moment, it's a framework to make sure we can work in different time zones. So all the times are recorded in UTC in the system, and then depending on where you're on the globe, all the dates and time will be good. And QTT is the broker for the communication to these boxes. So it's a secure communication. It's always live communicating. This is for translation of the software, so in different languages, so English, French, Spanish, whatever. We have the database, so that's the last layer of the complete stack. And in our case, each client has its own environment. So they have their own database, their own system, so they don't interact with other clients. Because there's two ways of doing things. Either you're all in the one database and you just filter it based on the clients, or you have different database. So in our case, for security reasons and make sure there's no information leaks and everything, everybody has its own environment. So that's pretty much it for what I had to share with you this afternoon. I don't know if you have any questions.
Couple questions, please, for Alexandre. Tell us about what you said before concerning the insurance prime when you had to deal with insurance people.
With what?
Insurance?
Yeah, insurance people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was doing another conference in another class before. One of the points we discussed was when we do a SaaS software, because there was a question about it's a web software, it's everything is in the cloud and everything. And what happens if you stop a manufacturing plant from working because your system is down? And then that was one of the questions I got from the insurance company, because as a software company, we need to get insurance in case we lose data, our servers are down or whatever. So the question was about what type of client do you have? So do you have small or big clients? What are the sales per day at these clients? If you ever go down, how much time it will take for you to go back up? So they are trying to find what is the risk associated with insuring your system. And but going cloud like we do is not that because we can start a server in just a few seconds. So if the server ever goes down, and you know, when we use Amazon and these guys, they provide us with they make sure their machines are running and all that. So it's kind of in their responsibility to make sure that we have availability over our servers. Regarding the fact that it's a web software as well, some people questions about the fact that what happens if my internet connection goes down. So most of the time what we do is we recommend to our clients to have like 2 entry points for internet. So let's say you would have like a Bell feed and a Videotron, so you make sure that you don't use two service providers that are on the same infrastructure, and the chances that both will go down at the same time is pretty low. And the other thing is very, very low. And the other thing is most of the time today you must experience that when the internet goes down, most of the time the electricity went down as well. So there's not much you can do anyway, especially in the manufacturing sector where if the electricity goes down, there's no more machines running and all that. So the plant is pretty shut down anyway. So it's not really a concern. Another question I had was about the fact that is it possible to work offline from the software or not? So it's not a capability we have today. It's just a choice we made based on the fact that the internet is pretty available. So we haven't foreseen the need to do it. And today we have clients running 24/7, and it's not really an issue. So we don't have the offline. What's the problem with offline is when you go offline and everybody's working on their side, when it goes back on, you have to manage all the conflict of synchronizing everything back. So it's kind of a nightmare in programming to do that. So there are tools to help do that, but still you have to manage the queues and the collisions in the data. So that's why we haven't done it yet. Basically, that thing. If you have a, yeah.
Is there like a possibility to know who makes changes, like to spot like if there's a mistake that's done? Because the software is that big, how can you like identify where the problem is?
Yeah, I would say no matter who did the change in the system, it's the same thing in our system. We track all the actions that were made throughout the system. So in our case, we have we took a different approach where in our system it's an autosave system. So it's like when you're working in a Google Sheet, you know, each time you do a modification, it's saved automatically. So in our system, it's the same, but each time we know who was the user in the software, and we know who made the change when. So we snap the date, time precisely, so we can always know. And we, in terms of philosophy in our software, we took the approach where most of the time we allow people to do maybe more stuff that they could or they should, but we track everything. And the reason behind it is for Also in lean manufacturing, one of the things you want to develop the autonomy of your team members. And for that, in order to develop your autonomy, you need to give and to have access to information. Because most of the times, that's the reason why people cannot be autonomous in their task. It's because they don't have the information. They don't know what they have to do next. They are missing a file, they are missing information, whatever. So they cannot take decision and move on. So in our software, we're pretty open in terms of information, but we track all the change and everything. But that would be the case in most software. If not, I would be worried. Yes?
Would you say that it would be problematic, for instance, with a software like this, if you're a distribution company and then you change your business format to become a manufacturer? Would it be something that would be difficult for the system to
transform? Yeah. What I said is that most of the software, the enterprise software, they have I would say some niche or some expertise, I would say. So habitually, when we see that distribution and manufacturing is quite different, even though in the manufacturing you have a warehouse that could be kind of a distribution. But if you took a system that was really meant for distribution, you will probably face some issue moving into manufacturing, and probably not the other way around. Meaning that probably if you have a manufacturing software, it will probably have things, but probably it won't go as deep in the functionalities in terms of distribution. Like managing multi-warehouse and stuff like that, these could be like frontier where it will be good to manage your main plant, but if you have distribution everywhere, it might get busy. But depending on the software you choose. Yeah. But that would be a good change in terms of organization as well, I guess. Moving from these two expertise.
Alexander, please.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alexander.